All right, and we're back for another episode of the Lakers Fast Break podcast. It's Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here from Lakers Fast Break. Pop Culture Cosmos, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, and Game Source. We truly appreciate everyone out there listening to all of our shows. And if you can, please give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Plus, if you can like, share, subscribe, follow, or do anything that you can to support us right here at the Lakers Fast Break. Pop Culture Cosmos. Also, as well, the great folks right here at Lakerholics.com. And, of course, the tremendous array of basketball shows on the Hoopheads Podcast Network. It is sincerely appreciated. Well, the Lakers concluded their season, their regular season, I should say, their regular season with not quite the expectations that they were looking forward to. Yeah, 5-5-5, yes. I feel like we're at Subway, $5 foot long. But unfortunately for the Lakers, their win over the New Orleans Pelicans tonight, 110-98, was for naught, as the Lakers did fall by virtue of a tiebreaker because of the fact that Portland won against Denver, who tried really ultra super hard today. And of course, I'm being sarcastic when I say that. They did, unfortunately, get the 6th seed in the Western Conference, and the Lakers unfortunately fell to the 7th seed. So their future will be lined up, and we'll talk about that today because it starts on Wednesday for them. The playoffs start with a play-in on Wednesday against Golden State and Steph Curry. And here today to talk about the game, and we'll go into a little bit of the play-in and so much more, is a good man indeed. We're going to start off with the man who called me Pootie. I'll tell you what right now, it's just great to have him back. It is Admiral Akbar himself, Jamie Sweet. And Jamie, welcome back to the Lakers Fast Break.
Yeah,
you know the Pootie gag has been running on our show ever since. Just
has it really?
You know.
No way. No, it hasn't. I've listened to a couple of the episodes. Listen.
I was going to say, V. Garcia, thank you for being on the show. As well, want to thank everybody for watching and listening. V's already started for Tom. LakerTom, he just said, did you see Dudley with the lockdown defense?
Oh, my God. Stop. Just stop. Don't encourage him. The man needs no encouragement. He's going to go talk about a half hour of our lives. Like, oh, this Jared Dudley guy is going to be a difference maker.
Good thing I have him on mute. Go ahead, Jamie. Your start off, my friend.
Anyway, first off, shout out to my wife who that was said for. So thanks for understanding Planet Earth.
That's okay. The crowd seems to like being called Gerald Pootie. That's okay.
There you go. Hey, I'm into it. Oh, that's
if it means more.
I get it. I get it now.
If it means more listeners and viewers, Pootie all day long. How about that?
God. I gotta tell my wife we're never gonna use that between each other again. It's gonna be I'm just kidding. Anyway, I disagree. Just because we didn't get to the 6th seed, which I'm sure LeBron and AD and everybody would have liked because it would have been extra rest. I actually feel the opposite, and I feel encouraged by these last 2 games. I feel like another game or 2 even, although 1 should be enough, isn't the worst thing for this group of guys. And I think you see that on defense a lot. I think, you see that exchange in the third quarter between Schroeder and LeBron, where LeBron was specifically pointing out spots on the court. Those things have been going on all season long, little idiosyncrasies, little miscommunications on D. And so I'm cool with this. I would have been happier had we avoided it. But I don't see it as like, oh, no, the play and how will we ever overcome? Like, it's not the end of the world. Like, we're going to beat Golden State, and that's just how it's going to go.
Well, the only thing I say in regards to that, I was with you halfway during the week. Then as I saw them play so well in Indiana, I was like, well, you know what? They're already playing really well on the offensive side. Maybe if they just rest for that week or just work on practicing, especially focusing on the defensive end, which is their bread and butter, right. I would have been more happy with that. Then we saw tonight New Orleans going out of the way to kick the feet of AD and LeBron.
I
mean, to me, with those tender feet of both of those gentlemen, I kind of think the extra week would have been better, but that's just my personal opinion. I've gone from one extreme to another, so I'm just going to say that.
I'm not going to disagree. I wanted to add, though, that neither Indiana or New Orleans are playoff caliber opponents. These were not good tests for this team. This was, once or twice around the practice course. It wasn't like we played Portland, for instance, or somebody was a game with like some meaning. These were two teams who are on the outside looking in. Indiana's going to make the play-in, but they're not going to go anywhere in the play-in, I don't think. I'll be surprised if they get out of the play-in. These weren't the greatest tests for us. They're not going to be teams we're going to see anytime soon. There wasn't a lot of defense in either game, I didn't think. And it's just not a good test of what the playoffs are going to bring. The intensity just wasn't there. I actually rewatched the 60-point Kobe finale game, and I thought there was more intensity in that game than there wasn't tonight or the Indiana game. They're just, just a different kind of feeling when it gets to that level. So I thought it was good for these guys to get floor time, especially Drummond and LeBron, because if that doesn't work in the playoffs, we're in big, big trouble. And I think it is working. And so, the best that it can, given the time they've had to play together, which is like, 2-3 games, right? 3-4 games total, like 2. Thanks, Tom. That's nothing. That's like, oh, hey, how you doing? Nice to see you. Like in the locker. That's what that is. So, a lot of questions still for this team in terms of the starting five, how the rotations are going to shake out. I see the argument of more practice time would have been nice. Frankly, the game's on Wednesday, so that's going to be the most days in between games I think the team has seen since the All-Star break. So I think that means that at least we'll get some practice in. And I wouldn't be too surprised if Frank says, listen, we're going all in on Golden State. Here's the kitchen sink. We'll let anybody but Steph Curry beat us. And we'll see, we'll live with that. And I would not be surprised at all if that's exactly what we see from the Lakers on Monday is kitchen sink defense.
Wednesday.
I'm sorry. Thank you. Wednesday. Kitchen sink defense at Steph. And let's see what Draymond can do with the rest of the guys.
Also here as well is a good man indeed. He is the mastermind behind Lakerholics.com. It is LakerTom. And LakerTom, before we head it over to you, I want to give a rundown of today's game. Anthony Davis, 30 minutes, 14 points. I think it was more of a pedestrian game for him. Didn't really seem to put out much effort on both ends of the floor. I think he was just cruising until he, again, like I was talking about, New Orleans, when they tried to do a double team, tried to tweak his foot out, so that was not exactly welcomed. LeBron James also, after he did a layup, he also got tweaked on the ankle by another New Orleans player, but he finished with 25 points, 6 assists, 3 steals. Seems to be getting at a really nice rhythm, so I'm really happy about that. 2 for 5 from 3. Andre Drummond, 13 points, 13 rebounds, 2 block shots. Good effort from him. Dennis Schroeder kicked in with 12. Caldwell Pope with 10. And that's pretty much where it came down to because all the scrubs that came in, the reserves came in, and then they just everybody else was just playing for time because the game was essentially over. But I want to hear your thoughts on the Lakers heading into the play-in game because it was decided that they will be the 7th seed in the Western Conference. Kind of disappointing because the fact that they're now looking like they're on a pretty good note going into the season. Something that we didn't see last year because heading into the playoffs, it was the other way around.
Yeah, it's kind of reminiscent, though, of the bubble that you had these series of games that, I think the big thing is the Lakers did what they could do from their side, and finishing out with 5 wins, I think, was pretty impressive. I thought it's been really important that Andre Drummond has been playing extremely well the last 3 games. He's had 3 double-doubles, solid double-doubles, not a 9, not a 10 and 10 double-double, but 13 and 13 is a big step up there. And if we can get 13 and 13 from him, and 2 blocks, I think this has solidified our starting lineup going into the playoffs. I don't think that ensures that there won't be situations where we might decide to start Marc Gasol. And a lot will depend upon, but basically the starting job is Drummond's to lose. It's been ever since he was signed as a free agent. So I'm actually pretty happy with it. I like the fact that Dre is continuing to restrict his game to what the coaches are asking of him. I've been pretty impressed with his passing out of the post. He's and these are not easy passes because he's throwing long passes to open 3-point shooters most of the time, and he seems to be finishing. When LeBron gives him a lob, man, he is putting that lob down, and a lot of that is just a testament to the quality of the pass that LeBron gives the guy. But the front court of LeBron, AD, and Andre Drummond looks pretty intimidating right now. And KCP is still shooting well. Schroeder's come back, and apparently Dennis says he's the only one who didn't get vaccinated. I don't know how that prevents him from getting kicked out again for protocol issues. I listened to that entire conversation of Dennis's, and he might as well have been speaking in German. It was really perplexing,
But didn't he mention about LeBron saying that he didn't get vaccinated either?
LeBron hasn't said anything other than family decision.
But I thought Dennis spoke for him.
Well, Dennis earlier had said that he and LeBron were the only two.
Yeah, that was like a month ago. That was about a month ago. Yeah.
Okay. Things might have changed, and I hope so.
Exactly. I hope so.
You can't worry about what other teams are doing. If the Clippers want to tank a game, in order to avoid meeting the Lakers in the second round, and if
like both them
the Nuggets want to do the same thing,
they both wanted to.
Hey, more power to them. They're going to regret it because both of them are on our sites. We're likely to. We've got the Warriors on Wednesday. We beat the Warriors, and I think we will. Then the next task we have is going to be the Phoenix Suns.
Yep.
It's another team that's going to have a hard time to match up with them. We go through the Suns, I believe. Now the way that with the Clippers and Nuggets switching places, or the Nuggets holding on to that number 3 spot. Then
hold on. Let me read this out to everybody. Okay. On the Western Conference, we're going to start with the Eastern Conference because we don't give the Eastern Conference enough love. That was also very hectic to the last day in several spots. So first was the Philadelphia 76ers, and also the big medallion that Joel Embiid had sitting on the sideline. And I'm going to hit it up to you, LRob. I got you on standby, my friend. We'll get you taken care of right away. Brooklyn Nets came in second with all 3 of their players now back. Their star players are now back. And Kyrie Irving, I do want to give a shout out that he is distracted by what's going on in the world. And you know what? There's good reasons why. I want to give him credit for that. So I know we always have fun with some of the things that he says, but this time I think he is directly right on that. Milwaukee Bucks under the radar with Giannis Antetokounmpo. They're third. New York Knicks, give some props to the Knicks and the Knicks fans because you know what? They're back, and they're back strong, riding high off the back of Julius Randle. They're in the 4th spot. Atlanta Hawks, I guess firing a coach did a lot of good because they ended up in the 5th spot at 41-31. Miami ended up next. I think that was kind of a surprise that they didn't finish up ahead of Atlanta and also New York, so they ended up 6th. So watch out for them because if they are healthy, they can prove to be a major thorn in the side of any of those top 3 candidates in the Eastern Conference. Yeah, then you have in 7th place, Boston Celtics. Unfortunately, it's not a question of if, it's a question of when, especially with Jaylen Brown. Obviously, his season has ended, so it's going to be Jason Tatum against the world, and I don't know how long that's going to last. In the 8th spot, Washington Wizards. They're the team, of all the teams in the playoffs, they're the most miraculous. To end up, and they deserve a special clap as well. From nothing and being a laughing stock and being just a team that was in such disarray, and Scotty Brooks, you could see the life being sucked out of his eyes early in the season, to a team that has come back so strong. And Russell Westbrook, who was laughed and mocked at the beginning of the season, he went on a tear like very few other individuals in the sport has ever done. And he helped, basically him and Bradley Beal just carried the team to a 8th spot from all the way from nothing to something. So watch out for them sneaking in on the playoffs here, especially if they get through the play-in pretty clean. They could go as high as 7. So you better be watching out for them. In fact, I'm picking them over the Boston Celtics, this middle of this week as well. Yeah,
definitely.
For sure.
It's not even a question.
Yeah, Indiana came up 9th, and you see the issues going on with them. They've got coaching issues on the hot seat. Got a lot of injury issues still. They got a lot of things to iron out. So I don't think Indiana is long for this tournament as well. And then, of course, Charlotte, who was on such a high in the first part of the season. Lonzo Ball was riding high off the Rookie of the Year honors.
LaMelo
Ball had ordained him Rookie of the Year. And you know what? Unfortunately, he's going to still end up being Rookie of the Year, but his play, especially after he came back from injury, and also the actual whole team, ever since he did have his injury, it tailed off ever since, and they finished 10th. So there are your 10 spots right there, and we'll see how that plays out, because next week, after the play-ins are done, I will do a special playoff preview so we can break down even further all these playoff matchups coming up. So stay tuned for that right here at the Lakers Fast Break. But in the Western Conference, here we go. Utah Jazz, you want to give them props. They did end up being, by one game, number 1 in the Western Conference.
Number 1 is number 1, baby.
Yep, Phoenix. They exceeded expectations and were breathing down Utah's neck, but they did finish number 2. Like Tom said, they will be the team that we play if we beat Golden State on Wednesday, which, again, we should. There's no more excuses now, as long as the feet of Anthony Davis and LeBron are good enough to go. Denver Nuggets, they're number 3. They ended up – Denver and the Clippers both tried their hardest to go ahead and get out of the way of the Lakers. It was very amusing to see that all night long. But they both tried hard, and they both lost tonight. So the tiebreaker goes to the Nuggets, and they finish number 3. The Clippers finished number 4. Dallas Mavericks with Luka. Now, mind you, Dallas, Portland, and the Lakers all have the same record.
Right.
But due to the tiebreakers in one-on-one matchups, and I think because Dallas is also a division winner.
Yeah.
Yeah, give me a break on that one.
Whatever.
Dallas was number 5. Also, Portland number 6 and LA's number 7.
Yeah.
Golden State is number 8, as we've talked about. So they'll start the play-in on Wednesday. Those two will match up. Then you have Memphis. Give a shout out to Memphis. Always that overachieving team. Always give them props because they try so hard because they don't have the talent of the top teams. And number 10, finally back. I guess you could say this is a playoff return, kinda. At number 10. Is the San Antonio Spurs. So there you have it. There you have it right there for you. And then, of course, you have after that New Orleans and Sacramento. And I'm sure Luke Walton is already packing his bags at this point in time. But there you have it. And Western Conference, hopefully everybody gets a chance to go ahead and get that breakdown. But a good man indeed is also here with us. He is a major force at Lakerholics.com. It is LRob. LRob, great to have you here. Thank you, first off, for your patience. I want to hear your thoughts. The Lakers are going into Wednesday now knowing they have to go ahead and just win one game. But they would like to go ahead and make it easier on themselves at home against the Golden State Warriors.
Well, thanks for having me, Gerald. It's always a pleasure to join you guys. So when we were talking about this a few weeks ago, you and I think LakerTom both were like, yeah, the play-in would be nice. We'll get a chance to get everybody in the groove. And my mantra has always been, you do not want to play an extra minute ever.
Yeah, I lean towards you now. I lean towards your.
I'm glad you finally came away from the dark side. Because
every time they tap their foot or somebody kicks their feet, or they move it the wrong way, and they're checking down AD and LeBron. They're checking their legs. They're checking their feet.
We do have Anthony Davis on our team. We do not want to play 1 minute more than we have to.
I see your point.
But you know what? You got to do what you got to do. And I will give Tom his props. He mentioned back when we had that stretch coming up in the Lakers playing Portland. I mean, they was playing Denver, Portland, Phoenix,
Dallas,
Clippers, and New York in a 5-game span. He said that's going to be the telltale sign. And it was just like, They got Tom's memo. They showed up against Dallas. They dominated that game. They played very tough up in Portland and lost a tough game. Of course, the Clippers were hyped and they spanked the Lakers, but then they came back and they beat Phoenix, and which was a pivotal win to me. And then they went
huge
and beat New York to win 3 out of 5 games. So the Lakers are playing very well. Golden State, they've Wiggins is waking up. He's playing better. Jordan Poole is playing like an NBA player. So they got some guys playing with a little bit of confidence. He's a University of Michigan guy.
Oh,
so
man.
I got to anytime I can. But he has he had 38 points the other game. I'm like, wow.
I know, no, that's legit. That's legit.
Yeah, that's legitimate. So the Lakers should not lose to this team.
No.
Game comfortably. It is scary anytime you're facing Steph because he can go off. But you got Dennis is a very good defender. He'll be in his hip pocket. Caruso. I do not worry about teams with small guards dominating us. So I think that's a good matchup for us. I worry about guys with good wing players is I think where we have a little bit more of a challenge. So we'll take care of Golden State. Phoenix is good. If the Lakers are playing our game, let's face it, we got a great team. If we can stay healthy and play good, bring it on. Bring on whoever's in our way. Bring it on. I'm not worried.
Bring it on, indeed, because I'll tell you what, LRob, you said it best right there. I think you were on that. I definitely am on your train right now in regards to that. Unfortunately, it didn't turn out to be the case, and if the Lakers would have just won one more game, it would have worked out right because of the fact that their feet are so tender. You can see it. You can see something that's not right.
Tender feet.
Twice in a row to the Mavericks. So AD was not playing if he would have played anywhere near like he's played in the last 2 weeks. But he was just coming back. He was just coming back against Dallas and he just wasn't ready yet. We would have,
But I'll tell you what, LRob, and also LakerTom, I'll as I turn it over to you, as Jamie Sweet is checking some stuff right now, I wanted to go ahead and let you know, before he got that ankle tweaked, LeBron was looking really good. The thing that stuck out to me most as a 36-year-old basketball player, my God, the speed on that guy. When he has everything going, did you check out the speed, how he was just out sprinting the Pelicans, 2 Pelicans, to go ahead and get that layup on that one play, and then of course, he's flying all around as normal. And this was on a back-to-back.
Yeah, no, LeBron, I felt the same way, Gerald, that LeBron in the last 2 games has really looked lively. He's had a real burst to his step, and he's also been jumping really well. You got to remember, too, that he's a 1-foot jumper, and right-handed guys jump off their left feet when they're off their left foot when they're going up for layups. So that right ankle basically is not going to hold him back. It was a little scary seeing him twist it there and not get up right away. Thank God he was smiling off of the bench, so you kind of feel a little bit of confidence there.
Yeah.
And we've got a little time off, but we've always said that the Lakers will go as far as LeBron and AD carry them, and I think that we see both of those guys now are 100% healthy, or as close to 100% healthy as you can be at this point in time in the season.
If you just kick their feet, and it's going to be they're not 100% healthy, especially with AD.
Hey,
they came over on that double team, and they kicked him in the foot, and that's all it took for AD just to go,
Leg and foot injuries are the bane of the NBA, man, because that's where your game is played. That determines whether you play above or below the rim, and these both are both guys that play above the rim. And so when you're up in the air like that and you come down, it's a dangerous landing going. I also think, too, the rest of the team has looked good. I posted an article the other day that there's another 5 or 6 players when LeBron was out who had game-winning or game-sealing plays on offense and defense during this 5-game stretch that we've won. The team is still searching for some continuity because of all of the different lineups and all of the different injuries. But we showed last year how quickly we can pull it all together. And it's going to be interesting. The one thing I did do is I did watch the Warriors play. And if there was ever a warning about how dangerous Steph Curry can be, all you had to do was watch the end of that game, because it looked like the Warriors were going to go down, and then boom, Curry. It'll be interesting. I'm sure that the 3 plays at the end where Steph hit 3 threes in a row are going to be on the screen for the Lakers defenders, and understanding how you cannot. He is the best that I have ever seen at passing the ball and repositioning himself for a wide open shot. I mean, nobody has the quickness or determination. And for a defender, anybody who's played the game of basketball, that's the last thing you want to do, is to guard a guy like Steph, man, who never stops moving.
Yeah.
That play he did to get open at the end by going all the way out to the half court line, passing the ball, and then cutting over for an open 3. That was a beautiful play, and the Lakers basically are going to have to watch that. But like you said, Gerald, the formula is going to be obviously anybody but Steph beating us. But you can talk about trying to stop Dame and trying to stop Harden, but Steph is in a league by himself when it comes to being able to reposition himself or even get a shot off. He's got a quicker shot than Harden does, or than anybody else in the league. And he's got more range than anybody else. So that's a challenge. I think we're going to win that. I think we'll go on and we'll take Phoenix. I think we'll go on after that and get a little revenge on the Denver Nuggets, who now find themselves in our bracket. And hopefully the Clippers will make it to the finals, in the Western Conference Finals this time, so we won't have no more excuses from them all of next year. How they could have done this, and they just didn't get a chance to meet the Lakers. But big win, and I'm right along with Lee. I'm confident the Lakers they're in position now where they can become the first team lower than a 5th seed to win an NBA championship.
And I'm sure you are not unlike anybody else that's out there. I mean, I would think we're very vocal about how, I guess, that the Lakers were really done. That the Lakers were really, things were not looking good, and it was just really not looking like it was going to be long for the NBA playoffs. With the return of AD, Dennis Schroeder, LeBron James, things are totally turned around. You can see the attitude of the team shifting towards a much more positive slant, and now it looks like they feel, in fact, LeBron said as such, that they can take on anybody. They're not scared of anybody. Just bring them on. We'll go ahead and deal with it. LRob, I want to ask you this. There was another return, and I'll get you in a sec, JV Sweet, and another return coming up that happened today. And no, it was not Villa Garcia, Jared Dudley, as much as everybody loves to say. It was the return today, though, was Alex Caruso. And I know they make a big deal about him in the Lakers broadcast and the GOAT and all that. And it was great last year as a story. It's just, I want to see him play good defense and play consistent ball. I know that they're all up in arms about him finishing the season with 41% from 3, but I don't see him as a sharpshooter. I don't see him at the point where you can hand it to him 8 to 10 times a game and say, shoot it up from 3. I say, if you can give him 3 shots a game from the 3-point arc and he hits 2 of them, your money. That's great. That's golden. We'll take that. But I don't see him as someone who is going to be that sharpshooter that we can rely on, at least not yet. To me, that part of this game still has to be proven. But what needs to be proven, and that he just needs to go ahead and do, is play hard defense. If he does that, he'll play a vital role for the team in this year's playoffs. Once again.
Yep. Caruso makes so many winning plays. When you look at that, like the clinching game last year in the finals, the defense that him, KCP, the whole team, was textbook. It was like, if you just want to draw up how to play great defense, pull up that game right there from the opening tip, and they just smothered Miami everywhere they went. So we know that that's definitely something Caruso can do. He's a heady player. He makes smart plays when he's not when he doesn't have to generate the offense and kind of run the show. When he can just be a guy out there, fly around and make things happen, he's at his best. So yeah, we're going to need him. He's an important piece. But I will say this now, that 41%, maybe it's the real deal. Guys, it's the league is littered with guys who came in doing one thing, made their money off one thing, and games kind of evolved. So maybe
he is in a contract year, though.
Yeah, maybe he'll go out and shoot 45% in the playoffs from 3-point. I mean, there'll be wide open shots playing with LeBron and AD. So
if that's the case, then you know what? Not only will it help the Lakers, but it will help his paycheck as well coming up in the offseason. And I think
that's half the thing. He is pulling the trigger now, and he's not hesitant and passing up as many of those 3-point shots as he has in the past. So,
and he doesn't have to play the point as much with a healthy Dennis Schroeder and LeBron James in the lineup, which I think gives LakerTom a little bit of peace of mind, and he can take a little bit of a deeper breath because, LakerTom is I already said at length about his passing skills, which I agree upon with LakerTom on that. He's not a point guard. Even though he was brought into this team as a point guard, he's just not an NBA level point guard that you can go ahead and consistently rely upon. But as an off guard who makes life miserable for others on the defensive end as a good team defender and also a willing one-on-one defender, I think he can play a vital role for the team just like he did last year when I was real happy about him starting that 6th game in the NBA Finals and proving Mark Jackson wrong. That's what I want to see, and that's what I want to see for him because that means he's going to get a nice chunk of change in the offseason. He probably won't with the Lakers, but at least he'll be able to sign a nice contract. But, Jamie, I mean, your impressions on the team going into this play-in, I mean, LRob and LakerTom have both said about the importance of stopping Curry, or at least not stopping Curry because you're really not going to do that. And to the guy who actually won the scoring title this year, and did it going away, especially after such a great performance today. But the idea is maybe make his life miserable enough so that it takes a lot of shots to go ahead and get a lot of points.
That's the idea with any great NBA player. I mean, there's no stopping some of these guys. You don't stop LeBron James. You don't stop Steph Curry. You don't stop James Harden or Kyrie Irving or Kevin Durant. You make their life difficult. And on the Nets, you take a little bit of solace that only one of them can shoot the ball in any given possession. Yeah. Listen, just to touch on the Caruso thing, I kind of disagree with some of that. I think that there is definitely a role for a guard in the NBA, whatever position they play at. I mean, one of the things that always kind of trips me out about when we talk about the Lakers is that we try to put them in a traditional box. Like, what about this team is traditional? LeBron's the point guard. I mean, that's even when
Schroeder starts, a primary ball handler, it's just not.
He's our 4th or 5th best ball handler. Caruso is. He's our 4th or 5th. That's not his job. His job has never been run the offense, get everybody involved.
Well, that's why I'm saying it's great to have Dennis and LeBron back in the lineup, so he doesn't have to do that.
100%. He is kind of like Jordan Clarkson. I always felt like Jordan Clarkson was so much more deadly as the off-ball guard because he could use his quickness to, like the backdoor cut Caruso, like when the second defender followed LeBron out. I want to say this was in the second quarter, and Caruso just kind of he didn't even run fast. He just kind of jogged into the low post, took the pass from LeBron because there was nobody there to guard him and hit that little reverse slant. Like those are the kind of plays that, like LRob said, those are winning plays. Those are plays that when you can make LeBron go, oh, here's an easy pass for an easy score. Those matter in the playoffs more than they ever do in the regular season. Those are what turn playoff series around. Those kind of backdoor cuts where maybe you're down 10 or maybe you're up 2 and they're coming at you and you make a simple play like that. And it's easy to say like, oh, what a great play. But it requires, great play by LeBron, great pass by LeBron. But it takes a guy to cut. Like if nobody makes the cut, there's no pass. So that's one of the things I like about the LeBron-Caruso synergy. I think after the regular season and the playoffs last year, there was a stat that showed like one of the most devastating plays in the NBA was the Caruso-LeBron pick and roll. And just by efficiency, points scored, whatever metric you wanted to measure it by, the LeBron James, at least on the Lakers, it might not have been in the league, but it was definitely on the Lakers. It takes LeBron augments players. Like that is his best skill. And so like when you have a smart guy like Caruso, when you have a smart guy like AD, when you have a smart guy like Gasol. Those guys fit great with LeBron. He doesn't always need a Tristan Thompson or like a raw, like power athletic dude. He needs smart dudes. Like Derek Fisher is a great example of, was Derek Fisher the greatest ball handler or passer? Certainly not. But I don't think anybody will ever say that Derek Fisher was not a winning player or couldn't contribute skills to a winning culture or a winning team. So I think we got a lot of guys that fit that mold. And that was what I thought was most revealed when LeBron and AD were out. There wasn't another guy who could get the team going, all on their own. Schroeder couldn't do it. THT couldn't do it. Caruso couldn't do it. Nobody. There's nobody, right? There's nobody that replicates what LeBron and AD do, which is why what we've said since the beginning of last season when AD first came here, we go as far as the two of them take us. And that was true then. It was true at the beginning of the year. It's true now. It'll be true in training camp next season. That's it. There's not really much to debate after that. These guys are not skilled enough, good enough, athletic enough, whatever you want enough to take a team far in the regular season or certainly in the playoffs without LeBron James and Anthony Davis. That's about it.
They're role players.
Yeah, and they're good role players. They're great role players. They're solid.
Capable of being stars in their own role.
Totally. Like Caruso could probably kill it in Orlando. You know what I mean? Or Kuzma. Kuzma could probably kill it in Orlando. Like shoot 20 shots a game, Kyle. 10 3-pointers, get to the line a bunch, but he won't win. He'll put up numbers. He'll have volume, but I don't think he would win. No better than Vukovic or Gordon he's that level of role players. And there's tiers within the role player hierarchy, of course. But I just think that, it doesn't hurt LeBron and AD to play with these guys. And they need to play with AD and LeBron to know how the food chain works, right? Like when there's no LeBron and no AD, everybody got to eat a lot more of the basketball. That's not going to happen in the playoffs. It's going to be a 2-man show followed by a team. So, it's going to be interesting to see. Again, Trez didn't play tonight. Gasol was the guy off the bench. And I don't know that that'll be true every series. It's going to be interesting. I'll be curious to see what happens in the Portland game with the Golden State game in terms of the rotations.
Well, I know that LakerTom had mentioned that he thinks, and I think as well, that the Lakers have 12 viable players for 8 spots, essentially.
Right. I agree with that.
Maybe you'll throw 9 out there, but the 9th guy is only going to get under 10 minutes in a playoff game.
Or foul trouble or something. Right.
Yes, foul trouble or something. So you see all those players, there's going to be 3 or 4 each game that's going to get a no or miniature amount of minutes. So people need to get used to that. It's a matter of Frank Vogel touching on the right people at the right time and using them in the right situation. Last year, I know at the beginning we were worried about, especially with JaVale McGee and Dwight Howard, when do you utilize them, when do you not? And Frank Vogel hit on it. He hit on it at the end. He realized where he needed to go and what direction he needed to go with, and eventually ended up being Markieff Morris, who we could see playing a role in the playoffs after he's done nothing for the past couple months virtually. So it could be that same thing again that he touches upon out of nowhere because he's got all these viable players. LRob, let me ask you this. If you're Frank Vogel going into the play-in game and preparing for a playoff run that hopefully leads to another championship for the Los Angeles Lakers, how are you preparing your team and the type of roles that you want them to play as far as, like I said, you're going to have to go ahead and shrink that size of that roster that you use each and every game.
Yeah. I just thought about the Lakers. We lost the first game last year against Portland, I believe.
We lost the first game, I think, in almost every series, seemingly.
We didn't lose the first one in Denver.
And the finals, that's right. Yeah, it was just the Houston and
the Portland first game. So you don't want to get off to a slow start. You prepared.
The Lakers didn't mind.
No. But this year, if you get off to a slow start, you're playing.
You don't want to make a habit of it.
Yeah, you're playing.
Definitely not against the Warriors.
Yeah, you lose against the Warriors. You're playing for your life in the last game. So, you prepare them by just going over defense. You're going to score enough points, but if you play solid defense against Golden State and you force them to do things they don't want to do, You force guys like Bazemore, you force all of those guys to have the ball in their hand with the shot clock running down for those guys to make plays. You'll be in good shape. Steph Curry against the Lakers for the year, he averaged 23 points on 42% shooting, 35% from the field. I think the Lakers won a couple of those games by blowout, so he's only averaged 30 minutes, so that was low minutes. If you remember, the one game they did beat us was when the game Kelly Oubre went nuts. Yeah. He was in such a terrible slump all season, and then when they played us, he just busted out. I don't know, 28 points, 30 points, or whatever.
And that's what you don't want. You don't want him or Jordan Poole or
you don't have to worry about him.
He's gone, but Wiggins or we don't have to worry about him.
Yeah, Kelly Oubre's gone. That's right. Yeah. So Wiggins or Poole or Draymond Green to suddenly realize, hey, maybe I can score some points. Yep. That's what you don't want.
Yep. So just go in there, sound defense, make the guys shoot that don't want to shoot. What's the big guy they got starting again? That's his name.
You're talking about Kevon Looney?
Looney.
Let Looney have the ball to make decisions. Force Looney to touch the ball when he's in there.
Yeah, Looney ain't gonna play in that game. They're gonna go with Draymond at 5.
Yeah.
You can bet on it.
No way, Tom. No way.
If he doesn't start, he'll come off the bench, Tom.
Yeah. But they're going to go small against the Lakers, which is going to be a challenge because Vogel's going to have to decide what he does with Drummond.
Yeah.
They don't have the guys. Golden State does not have the guys to play. They have to play Kevon Looney. He's one of their better players. And he's played in playoffs. So Steve Curry,
he ain't going to start. He's not going to start.
Okay.
Draymond's going to start at 5. I read all of the press up here I live in the Bay Area.
Okay.
I'm listening to everything that they're saying about the Lakers series or the Laker game in the play-in. They're going to go small.
From the opening tip, huh?
From the opening tip, because it's going to be a 3 is greater than 2 type of attempt game, because they're going to shoot threes like you've never seen before. Steph is going to take 20 threes. They're going to just try to trade 3 for 2 every time down the court.
Lakers are going to give Steph threes.
It's the only way they can beat the Lakers. They're not going to beat them by putting Looney in there and going big against the Lakers.
But they're going to force Steph off the 3-point line. He's going to have to go inside of the 3-point line, or unless he's going to take some bad threes, which he can hit.
Yeah,
he's high.
I think Steph's going to get his numbers. I think our job is to stop the other guys from scoring, so we don't have a second guy who becomes Oubre or becomes Poole or becomes Draymond.
Well, the thing is
Steph is going to get his 40.
Well, the thing is with Curry, if he gets 40, you just want him to do it on 25, 30 shots. You want him to do it on a whole bunch of shots. And
you don't want a dozen assists to go with it.
Exactly.
We're not conceding 40 points to Steph. No way.
Sure.
No. I mean, I'm not gonna say no to anything. It's an NBA game. Anything can happen.
Yeah.
I think the Lakers are going to.
He can score 40, but he better be taking 40 shots then to get his 40.
That's what I mean. Make him earn it. Make him work for it.
You take 30 shots and score 40.
That means we're winning. That means we're doing a good job.
I think we'll win by 20.
If he shoots under 40% from the field combined, then you're at least you're doing the best you can against him. I think that's
this is not the same. We're not going to see the same Steph Curry we saw earlier in the year. You're going to see the Steph Curry you saw in the last 5 games, man.
Yeah.
And Tom, they're not going to see the same LeBron or AD or none of those guys that they saw early in the year either. That works both ways. LeBron.
I agree, but I just know what everybody following the Warriors says is going to happen as far as how they're going to play the Lakers.
LeBron lost to Steph how many times? 3 times? Yeah.
In the finals or in overall?
3 times in the finals.
3 times. 2 times.
2 times. Okay. Yeah.
2 times.
Trust me, the last thing he wants to do is lose to a Warriors team again. So if they go small from the beginning of the game, cool. We just go really dominate them then.
It'll be interesting to see how Drummond does because
the Lakers are not going.
The Lakers are going to try to go big. They're not going to sit Drummond for a play-in game.
No, they're going to play. game.
Who's everybody's X factor for the Warriors in this series? Let's assume that
You mean for the play-in?
I'm sorry, I keep saying series too. I'm just used. It's my NBA lingo.
It's got to be Andrew Wiggins.
Draymond.
I agree. No, I agree. Wiggins. If Wiggins can score 20 points on fewer than 20 shots, the Warriors are going to have a chance.
I think it's
about as. It could be either one. It could be any of those three.
It's Draymond because he's the only guy who can guard Davis.
I don't think he can guard Davis. I don't think he's quick enough. Not anymore. It depends on if they call him for grabbing.
He's a smart defender, man.
Yeah, we'll see.
Defender, but he's too little.
He's too little. He's too slow. And
AD in his right spots. Draymond, you're good, but no, you're in trouble.
Nobody on Golden State can stay in front of LeBron. Is more. I mean, Draymond can only guard one of the two. He can either guard LeBron and shut LeBron down. No, he can't. He can't stay.
No, I didn't say he can guard him. I didn't say he can guard him. I said that's going to be his assignment.
Oh, right, exactly. No, exactly. And LeBron's going to destroy Andrew Wiggins. So that's where I kind of see the game going down. Like, I assume that Steph is actually going to get about 40 because the Warriors really don't have a shot if he doesn't. If Curry turns in a 25 point game, it's
just how many shots can you get? Can you have him take before it gets to 40?
His arm is going to get tired.
30 shots.
It's the only
40 shots to get that 40. Then there you go. You're doing your job on a defensive end.
And if Wiggins hits like 4 of 6 from 3 and has like 20 points on 12 or 13 shots, that's a problem too. But
listen, the Warriors have more firepower than people think.
I agree.
And I think one of the things we're going to see the Lakers do, just like I predicted that the Warriors are going to go small. The other thing I think the Lakers are going to do is they're going to give the ball to Dennis a lot because they want Dennis to attack Steph on offense. They want to make Steph work on defense.
You don't think they'll switch somebody else off of Steph and have Steph guard Pope? I think they'll switch Steph off.
We'll just keep trying to isolate him. We just want to keep isolating him, whoever got him.
KCP will run from side to side then.
Right.
I think you'll see Horton Tucker get into the game too. I think he's going to play because they don't have a rim protector, and he's perfect for attacking.
Yeah, but if Curry gets THT on a one-on-one, that spells trouble for them.
No, I worry about THT on defense in the playoffs a lot. I think that he may be of all the small forwards after LeBron, he may end up finding his minutes challenged by defense the most. Because McLemore can stay in front of guys. I'm sorry. Matthews could stay in front of guys. McLemore can shoot lights out.
McLemore is absolutely the worst defender on the team.
Right, but he opens up the floor in a way that THT never will open up the floor. At least this season. I mean, we can't talk about the future, but right now in this NBA playoffs, THT they're going to play him to drive, and that's what he wants to do. So I think
the Warriors switch everything. The Warriors defense is switch everything, which means that you can hunt.
Who is this firepower we don't know about in the Warriors? Please enlighten me.
In the past, let me say this, LRob. In the past, 7 days, the Warriors had 3 different 30-point scorers: Wiggins, Poole, and of course Curry, who won the scoring title. So I want to go ahead and say, you know what, you have to worry about one of those other 2 outside of Curry getting hot. If the rest of the Warriors plays
Jordan Poole in the second year playing in the league in a winner take home game. I'm sorry, if we let Jordan Poole, if he beats the Lakers, we deserve to lose.
Good point indeed. But once again, the Lakers did win today, 110-98. Great comments by V. Garcia. He agrees with LakerTom that if you make Curry work on defense, he's not the same threat on offense. So we'll see how they can work that out. The matchups will begin as far as it's concerned, how we'll go ahead and project that out. In fact, on Tuesday night, I'm going to record a play-in scenario as far as it's concerned for all the play-in games. We'll do a preview on that. Plus Monday, check out my conversation with Rafael Barlow on the season-ending awards. So we'll go ahead and talk about that as well. But guys, before we head on out, there's some great things to talk about at Lakerholics.com. So I'll start with you, LakerTom, the mastermind behind Lakerholics.com. What are you working on for your Medium.com site? And, of course, Lakerholics.com.
Well, I think the big question for the Lakers is basically who's going to be in the rotation. And I think it's based upon the opponent in every situation. I think it's a matchup situation where Frank is going to look and see. I think we're going to see the same starting five the entire playoffs this time, unless for some reason we suddenly find that Drummond can't hold his own and can't deliver that double every game. I think he's going to start and he's going to get most of the minutes because of his age. And I also think that he's earned it. He's played really well the last 5 games. Other things that I think have really become really important the last 5 games is that Alex Caruso went through a real streak in the middle of the season, toward the end of the season, where he was not showing strong plus minuses. He was showing negative plus minuses and wasn't really having the impact in net ratings that he normally did. In the last 5 games, he is the top of the Lakers as far as net rating goes, 22 points. So I think that combined with shooting bodes well as being a contract year. I think after the starting lineup, all of the starters seem to be playing well, giving Dennis a little credit for the fact that he's been out and is still trying to get his legs underneath him.
Yeah.
But I think the top 3 reserves are obviously going to be Kuzma, AC, and probably Wes Matthews.
Caruso.
Yeah, I said AC.
AC.
Okay. Yeah.
Right.
So,
I think those are the 3 guys who are going to get the bulk of the minutes, and then I think the rest of it is going to be sort of a matchup situation, depending on what we need. Gasol will get in there. It's probably the 9th man at this point in time. Who could be 10th? It would just depend. If we need 3-point shooting, Ben might be the guy. If we need somebody attacking the rim, and the Warriors could be a good case for this, I think, because of the way that THT can attack the rim. And then, you have to always remember that if we go and play with AD at the 5, the best player with him at the 4 is got to be Markieff Morris. And Keith played really well when he was in there in the recent games. And he's also, he started to hit his threes and he started to also be able to post up smaller guys. So
also in a contract,
we're going to see a constant matchup based upon the opponent as we go through the series, and I think it's probably pretty clear who we're going to play. We obviously are in line now in the play-in game to play the Warriors. I think the Suns are going to prevail, and the Suns will be our first round matchup.
Well, that's already said.
Yeah, and then I think the Nuggets will be the second round matchup, and I think the Clippers will be in the finals for the Western Conference.
Yeah, the only way the Lakers would change that is if they lose on Wednesday and then
go to number 8.
There. Yeah,
right. Then we go to the other side of the bracket, but I don't think that's going to happen.
But LRob,
so it's going to be an interesting season. As I said before, I think this is a real opportunity for Frank Vogel to elevate his standing as a coach. If he makes all of the right moves like he did last year, the Lakers will repeat as champions, and Frank Vogel will get his due as a championship caliber coach.
Well, we'll definitely see if that can happen. I'm hoping that is the case. LRob, always great to have you here as well, my friend. Wednesday, I'm looking forward to your analysis on the game. And before we head on out, I want to hear your thoughts on what the week ahead for the Lakers, what they need to work on, and how do they come out on top so they can go ahead and face off against the Phoenix Suns next weekend.
Well, a great coach once said, I'll beat you with mine, or give me yours and I'll beat you with yours. Now, I'm not saying that that's what Vogel's going to do, but Vogel can say, you want to play big? I'll beat you playing big. You want to play small? I'll play small, and my smalls will be better than your smalls. So I'm thinking about what Tom said. If Golden State decides to go small, let's throw out their small ball lineup. That's pretty scary. If I was them, I would try to keep a center in there to keep a big guy in there for the Lakers, as opposed to, you don't want to see AD at the 5. That's the scary thought. That's when the Lakers really, really are at our best. So Tom can tell me, I don't know. Pascal hasn't played in a while. He's a good player. I hadn't thought about him. Is he back?
Yeah.
He's scheduled to be back. I haven't seen him play in a while.
I think everybody but Oubre is back.
Okay, well, Pascal hasn't played in a while, so if he comes
Wiseman won't be back on.
Yeah,
that gives him a decent player. He's a good player too, but
the Golden State Warriors outside of Kevon Looney has no real size that they can throw at you.
No, that's it. It's Kevon Looney. And don't sleep on Kent Bazemore. Kent Bazemore is one of those guys who can burn you for like 20, 25 points in a game.
Yeah, but the problem is he may be in foul trouble because guess who's going to be guarding LeBron James?
Kent Bazemore. No, I know. There's some guys on the Warriors that could give us a problem, and that's the thing, you know.
Yeah, those are NBA players, so anybody can go off at any time. But trust me, I would love to see Kim Bazemore getting 15 shots. I would love to see Jordan Poole get a lot of time because Jordan Poole, if he guards somebody, that'll be the first time he's guarded somebody. I mean, he couldn't play on the Lakers because he don't want to defend anybody.
No.
So yeah, Lakers, just go out and handle our business. Jump on them from the beginning of the game. Play Steph hard. If Steph gets 40 and takes 35 shots to get his 40, you've done your good job. Yep. You know, if Draymond, force him to take some shots, force Draymond to go to the basket. But make all those guys defense, like Jamie said. Put whoever, if whoever Steph's checking, make sure that guy gets some shots and gets the ball. Draymond, you're a great defensive player, but guess what? Go out and prove it. I heard him talking junk today saying, no centers can get anything on him or whatever. And I think Valanciunas had 29 though.
Yeah.
I love Draymond. He's a Spartan,
Draymond's got a lot of this.
Draymond, but you have nothing coming if you're gonna check AD. You're gonna be in foul trouble.
Yep.
That's what I'm looking forward to, indeed. But before we head on out, Mr. Admiral Akbar himself, Jamie Sweet, are you laying out any traps for us?
There's no more trap games. It's the playoffs. You can't have trap games anymore. You either blow it or you don't. Don't blow it.
Have a trap game.
Don't blow it. Don't blow it. Only against the Clippers in the other bracket. Any game against the Clippers is a trap game because you never know. Paul George might hit some shots.
Playoff P.
We'll see. That's a big question mark.
What are you working on with 5 things at Lakerholics.com? I'm
one behind. I was going to do one for the other game, and then I thought I would see how both games worked out. It's sort of a bit of a rehashing of what we got over here tonight. It comes down to LeBron and AD. If like LRob said, if they force AD to the 5, AD's got to dominate. Like he did.
Frank's got to put him at the 5.
And Frank's got to put him at the 5. Like all of right, he will. I don't have as much concern. Frank proved to me last season, and I believe it will hold true that he understands that the playoffs are a different beast. That you don't have a week or 2 of games to burn with an experiment. You have a night to make a decision. You lose a game one way, you have one night to make a decision about how you're going to attack the next game. Because then you got to come to the team the next morning and say, hey, guys, we're changing it up. Let's all get on the same page with this. This is what we're going to do. And I thought that was the Lakers' big strength. Frankly, it's also a strength that came from the bubble. There's no travel in the bubble. Everybody was all around each other all the time. So you could really, have more of like a hive mind over the course of the entire playoffs, which I thought – again, benefits a high IQ team like the Lakers. So it'll be interesting to see how this team responds to actual playoff travel, actual playoff atmospheres, actual different arenas. And that's true of everybody who did well. How's Miami going to do? So that'll all be very interesting for next season, or rather for the next season, which is starting on Wednesday. But in terms of that, I'm working on that. And also some of the things that some of the guys, and there's a lot of Lakers in contract years, Caruso, THT, Keith, Schroeder, basically everybody but Kuzma, KCP, LeBron, and AD are in contract years. So,
and other than LeBron and AD, those are trade targets too.
And Gasol. Gasol's here next year. So those 5 guys are Lakers of next season.
I don't think Gasol's staying on the team. But that's another story. That's another conversation for another day.
We'll see. Until he's not, this is where he signed for next year for the veteran minimum. So
this is where he's signed, but this may not be where he stays. But that's that's another conversation for another.
That's off-season stuff. He's here now, and there's no trades we can make in the playoffs. Although I'm sure LakerTom wouldn't mind if there was like a one-day trade window just before the playoffs where you could upheave your entire roster and trade 3 players for 1. And oh my God, now we're going to win a.
Well, our roster is not as stable as it was last year.
No,
That's one of the things we have to admit. We've got 2 new players that have been integrated and 2 superstars who have come back from injuries. So it's
and the other thing is, last year I think we used 12 different starting lineups, or maybe even a little less than that. This year we hit 25 different starting lineups. So there's just been a lot of upheaval, a lot of question marks. But in a lot of ways, those question marks all come second to LeBron and AD healthy, and our LeBron and AD playing well. They're both playing pretty well, as they generally tend to do. And they both are as healthy as they can be at this point in time.
They just pick the right people to put out there with them, and you got a championship.
That is the biggest question. Can Frank replicate last year's magic? That's really the biggest question. Because if LeBron and AD are out there, I like our chances. Gerald?
Because J.R. Smith and Deion Waiters are not coming through that door this time around.
And I think we can all be glad for that.
Yes, we can.
Oh, man.
But I'll tell you what.
Deion was dynamite in the bubble. What are you talking about?
Well, you guys set me up for that, so I had to lay it in there. But, guys, it's been great talking to you both. Once again, I'm with Admiral Akbar, Jamie Sweet.
We got Gerald Dudley on the team, though. We got Gerald Dudley. Everything's going to be fine.
Yes.
We got
LakerTom is here as well. And, of course, the first annual Lakers Fast Break ESPN Fantasy Basketball Challenge winner officially is LRob. And congratulations goes to him on a job well done. He deserves every bit of the praise that he is going to get for it, because he did a job well done as far as in fantasy basketball this season.
What you sending me? What did you send me?
A good-hearty congratulations.
Air hugs. You get air hugs.
Oh,
that's why I enjoy free fantasy leagues. That's why
Who was on your LRob? Who was on your team?
The Joker was the
nice.
centerpiece of the team. So,
nice. Yeah.
Siakam was good. I had Kyrie, Draymond.
Yeah.
Draymond, Brooke Lopez was on the squad. I picked up Barrett off the free agency wire.
You said you picked up Chris Boucher.
Picked up Chris Boucher off the free agency, off the scrap heap. I don't know. It was.
Oh, you Drummond him.
No. It was a shuffle. It was a constant shuffle of picking up guys. Oh, I picked up Halliburton. That was a very good pickup.
Oh, yeah. Tyrese had a great year. I think he ought to challenge for Rookie of the Year. I know he won't, but he ought to.
Yeah, Anthony Edwards should also challenge.
Agreed.
He had a great closing of the season. So we'll see what happens there. But I am tomorrow night going to be speaking to Rafael Barlow, where we will discuss the season-ending awards in regards to the NBA. A little bit of change of pace for him, so I thought I'd send it out his way instead of just always draft. So go ahead and check out his show, NBADraftJunkies.com, NBA Draft Junkies on YouTube, and the Locked On NBA Draft Podcast, which he does every Monday and Thursday. So check that out. He will be on the show tomorrow. Go ahead with his thoughts on the NBA season. Plus also as well, on Tuesday, I'm looking to do a preview of the play-in games. And, of course, Wednesday, we will also be back after the game against the Golden State Warriors. We're looking forward to the play-in game, the first of its kind. And on prime time, I think the NBA could not have had it better and set it up better and would have liked it better any more than this, with LeBron and AD versus Steph Curry. And that's going to happen Wednesday. And we will be here again Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday for you. And we'll be going ahead right after the game as well for the play-in game. So look forward to that. But once again, Jamie Sweet, LakerTom, LRob, if you have any questions for us, LakersFastBreak@yahoo.com, at LakerTom on Twitter, at LakersFastBreak on Twitter as well. Check out all the great stuff at Lakerholics.com, Pop Culture Cosmos, and of course, everyone that's associated with the Hoopheads Podcast Network. If you're into great basketball shows, thehoopheadspod.com. Well, once again, thank you so much, V. Thank you so much, Kevin Somani, for the likes. Albert Togero, always a pleasure to have you on watching as always. Appreciate it so much. Thank you so much to everyone that watched and listened to us. Once again, we will be back almost all week long. I think I've got shows planned out Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and maybe even more. So we'll find out what's going on this week, because the play-in tournament starts on Wednesday, and we'll be here for it right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast.